I had no parents.
Sasha, you had parents.
I had me.
The most challenging part of my marriage, and likely many relationships, is dealing with relational trauma that both my husband and I have experienced in our life. One of the things that I actually do when I'm stuck in my hurt, when my husband and I have conflict, is that I look at a picture of him when he was a child. I don't even know if he knows that I do this. He will after this video. But one of the things that happens when I look at that picture of him as a little boy is that I'm reminded that he is hurting too. Even though his show of hurt looks different than mine, his is more withdrawn and mine is just more sad. It's easy to misinterpret withdrawn behavior as anything but hurt. But when I look at that picture, I know that he is reliving his relational trauma, and I am able to move out of my hurt and see that he is hurting too. I was watching this movie, Always Be My Maybe, and I thought to myself, this love story is all about relational trauma. Most of us crave a deepened connection with our partner, and many don't realize that relational trauma can get in the way of connection. Today I'm going to share with you clips from the movie Always Be My Maybe and bring an understanding to you as to how trauma impacts fear of intimacy. By the way, I'm Dr. Pam. Being a therapist has been a lifelong passion of mine, and one of the most important things that I have learned as a therapist is that to live our best life, we need thriving relationships. And that's what I'm here to guide you towards, living your best life and best relationships. Okay, so the story of Marcus and Sasha in the movie shows them trying to come together, and they struggle to connect. Marcus is a loving guy who is family oriented. However, he can be a bit too complacent in his life. He works for his father while he is trying to have a music career with his band. And while Sasha, who is career driven, she's a celebrity chef, she has her own trauma as well. But today I'm just going to share with you Marcus's trauma, because his trauma is something that we tend to not really recognize that could prevent connection. His trauma comes from fear of loss because of this.
Dad, what's wrong?
Mr. Kim? You okay?
There's been an accident.
This pain lingers in him for a very long time, and he is not fully aware that it prevents him from connecting with Sasha. The abrupt and unexpected death of his mother, who he deeply loved, also brought to him fear. So you see in the movie that they were childhood friends, but this tragedy divided them, as trauma often does. They reconnected as adults, but as they attempt to come together romantically, Marcus has no idea that his relational trauma is debilitating him. Even though he clearly loved his mother so deeply, the relational trauma is now fear of loss. He is gripped with the fear that he could lose someone that he deeply loves and lose them just like he lost his mom. Let's watch.
I don't need her, guys. Just tell me that. I'm better off without her, and I don't need her. I hate her lifestyle, and she hates mine. Come on, Tony. Just tell me that me and Sasha were a match made in hell, and this is all for the best.
This may not look like fear, but it's fear.
We need to talk about your fear of intimacy.
It is the fear of loss, fear of reliving grief, and it is fear of once again experiencing unbearable pain of losing a loved one. Here's the problem. His fear is a blind spot for him.
We all have blind spots. It might be good to have someone around who can see yours.
How can he move forward if he doesn't even know that he is fearful? So instead, he pushes Sasha away by telling himself that they are from two different worlds. Is any of this familiar to you? Because fear can easily lead to blind spots. I know all too well. I've had them myself, and we all have blind spots. but let's watch a little bit more.
Sasha, you and Sasha are great together. You always have been.
Sasha thinks she knows everything about everything. Plus, she's a celebrity now, and all celebrities are insane.
So it's a story that he tells himself. I mean, all of us tell ourselves a story at some point in our lives. And sometimes we need a gentle, loving push from a loved one. Now, the question is, what can you do if relational trauma is preventing you from closeness and connection? By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing so we can grow a community to connect and help one another. Believe me, I learned so much from people who I have counseled and from students that I have taught, so I am hoping that we can all learn together. Me too. Okay, so the first step is to acknowledge and understand that you have been held back by fear. Fear is massive in people who have been traumatized, especially if the trauma came from abuse.
I'm afraid.
The idea of being dependent, and I'm referring to healthy dependency, that fear can be overwhelming because when you were a child, if you were abused, you were vulnerable as a child and you were hurt. The idea of being dependent and vulnerable to someone else can be terrifying, but it is so important to remember that not everyone will hurt you in the way that you were hurt by whoever was abusive to you.
I promise I will keep you safe.
Yes, you need to be mindful of the people you allow in your life because we do tend to be drawn to what is familiar, but you can grow in self-awareness and acknowledge your fears, and you can learn to invite safe people into your life. For Marcus, his fear has been his constant companion, preventing him from not only being intimate with Sasha, but living a fuller, happier life. And as Marcus learns to face his fears, he starts to heal from his trauma. It's a slow and challenging process, but you can begin to take the steps forward. You can start by sharing your fear with those you do trust in your life. I know it's scary and it's incredibly uncomfortable, but it can also be incredibly freeing. Also, think about what you need to trust others. When I work with someone who has difficulty trusting, I always ask them if they trust me. And most say yes, while others are still on the journey of trusting me. But when they say yes, I ask them why. Why do you trust me?
Because I trust you.
And people will say many different reasons. I suggest to them to look for the quality in others that allowed them to trust me. And you can think about that with people that you trust. Realize that you can gradually expose yourself to situations that make you feel fearful but safe to overcome your fear. It's about taking small, manageable steps to push through your discomfort. And I always say that comfort zones are expanded through discomfort. Believe me, I have gone through many discomfort zones. I'm in it right now in a discomfort zone, hoping it leads to my comfort zone.
Maybe I thrive outside the comfort zone.
But I do know that once you get to that comfort zone, it's incredibly liberating. And as you go on a journey, you can discover that intimacy isn't about avoiding fear or pain. It's about sharing, understanding, and healing together. Understand that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength, and it's necessary so you can create meaningful connections, which is what I believe most of us want, even if we fear it. I mean, that's the challenge, right? Trying to understand our fear, learn from it, and push through it. Once you are able to do so, you can have the love and the connection in your life that you deserve. So thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments section if you've pushed through your fear to create love and intimacy in your life. I know it'll be helpful to others. Thanks again. See you soon.